folks, and we are live here on YouTube and Twitch. It's been a while, and I'll be honest with you, it's been a while because we've had a show format change, and also a lot of WWE is on in the middle of the night for me, so I'm not going to stay up that late to watch it. I can't, but considering the fact that this happened 2 hours from me, I would have went to it if I don't know. We'll get into that. But it's over now, and I said I had to jump on and do a quick stream on it. So if this is your first time checking us out, thank you so much. My name is Dara O'Connor. You're listening to the Only Wrestling Podcast by fans who don't hate wrestling. Our normal show normally drops on a Tuesday, but I wanted to kind of get this one out there. If you're in the chat, let us know what you thought. Do you think this was a decent show? Were you happy with the result, or any other thoughts that you may have on tonight's show? So obviously this was coming from Belfast, Northern Ireland. It was WWE's first Raw from the island of Ireland. And I thought it was a very, very good show. No, look, I was a little bit biased. It's in the home of the Giants, who are my favourite hockey team. And so I was a little bit kind of like, the arena holds a lot of good memories for me. And it was really cool to see. But that aside, I actually really enjoyed the show. I didn't think anything was wasted. A couple of segments were a bit iffy, but we also got a much better approach for the Royal Rumble, which is coming up in about 2 weeks. But let's start off first with, obviously the main event. CM Punk defending against Finn Balor. And there's a couple of things that we obviously have to get into because it was one of the big shows. It was one of the shows that had a lot to prove. Could have been great, could have been bad, but I thought overall it delivered a lot. So let's just pull this up here and then we can kind of go on from there. So the results come from Mike Tedesco at WrestleView.com. So thank you to our friends over on WrestleView. Okay, so show kicked off about 3 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock my time, and as we said, let me pull this up here so we can see what's going on. So CM Punk defended against Finn Balor. This match was very back and forth. It was really, really. I had a couple of questions going into it, and the main question was, how are you going to keep Punk winning while still putting over Finn? And what's the goal of this match? Is the goal of the match to build up a new star inside Finn Balor and kind of get a new face? Because he's still with the Judgment Day. He was announced as representing the Judgment Day, which is fair enough. And how are they going to do this? It was funny because with Punk winning or defending, he came out and he was just like, I was expecting to be booed. I was expecting to be the bad guy. And it was cool. Like the crowd, I kind of figured would be big CM Punk fans from being in the arena and obviously being Irish myself. You kind of know the way it's going to be. I'm also wearing my Belfast Giants t-shirt at the moment, which I totally didn't even mean to do. So yeah, it was going to be one or the other. I knew Finn would get a huge reaction. I knew Punk would be over, but I didn't really know what the balance was going to be. It really was 50-50. There were like two faces at this point. Neither one wrestling as a heel. You could tell Punk was probably preparing to be the heel for this one, but he didn't have to be. It was a really cool, straight wrestling match. It was a long match too, like so long the fact that even the rest of the results aren't updated yet. But yeah, like a couple of things to know off the bat. Finn came out in his old, with his old music. That was great. And at that point, I was like, I wish I was there. The only reason I didn't go, and it was sold out. The only reason I didn't go is because the tickets were like $400, and I was like, I'm not going to pay $400 to go to WWE or for a Raw. I just couldn't justify it, folks. If you're willing to pay that much, let me know in the chat, because fair play. I just couldn't. But at that moment, I was like, I wish I did. Yeah. So look, this match again. Punk looked great. Finn looked great. A lot of the critics for CM Punk that he's old or he can't move or whatever. No, this match it helps the way Netflix shoot this show, where it's very dynamic. It's not just a static camera shot, and it was shocking. You know, like the ending of it came from a coup de grace, which was hit, kick out, and then Punk was able to roll him into a GTS for the win, and it was a clean victory. Had a couple of questions. I was like, how are they going to do this? Will it be a screwy finish? Will someone run out? Will the Judgment Day? No, no. And then at the end of the match, Finn and Punk hugged it out, and Finn was kind of standing on the ramp looking. So I don't think this is the end of the Finn Balor thing. I don't think he'll turn heel. I think we're done with heel Finn Balor. But we might be seeing the start of champion Finn Balor. Not necessarily with Punk. I don't know how they're going to square that circle. But you know, the commentary story was okay. It's been 4 years since he's held the belt. He's been kind of off in his own area, doing other things. Blah blah blah. WWE have to rebuild this top of the card, and I think we saw Finn getting to the top of the card tonight, and hanging successfully. Now, look again. I could be biased in this because I'm Irish, so if I'm off base, please do let me know. But I don't know how you could watch that show tonight and not kind of see where they're going with this. There's no Cena, AJ Styles. We'll get to him in a second. Um, you know, they need this. They need to really shake up that card. And who better than have Finn Balor? So that was kind of the goal of tonight, I think. A part of me believed that he could win. And either way, I went in and I was like, either my favourite wrestler wins or one of my favourite Irish stars wins, who I really would love to see with a world title again. Because he only won the Universal Championship once and then got injured. So either way, I was happy tonight. But yeah, definitely very, very impressive from the two of them. The other star of this show was the SSE Arena. So I don't know how many of you guys watch UK hockey. There might be some crossover. I'll be honest with you. I loved Punk's little promo where he made a bunch of hockey references. It was super fun. But if you're not, you don't really watch the Giants play, you've probably never seen the SSE Arena before. It looked phenomenal. It looked like, now obviously it's quite small. It's much smaller than an NHL arena, so you don't have the three tiered seating stacked up. You just have the one around the rink, and that was really cool. Like it actually looked like $1,000,000. So fair play to the SSE for really making Ireland, Northern Ireland, stand out as a destination. I didn't cover when WWE was in Dublin. I don't think the show looked nearly as good as it did tonight. The Three Arena is fine, but doesn't have the same aura, to use that word, as the SSC. So that was the superstar of the night. I really liked the way it looked. It felt like a proper Monday Night Raw. It didn't feel cheap. It didn't feel minor league. It was a really, really cool performance from WWE Production and the SSC as well. So and Belfast as well, which is a phenomenal city. Looked really, really pretty in all the sky shots and stuff. So that was really, really cool. Another really fun thing that we learned tonight. It started off early. Gunther came out to kick off the show. Cut a promo. AJ was there. The crowd were super into it. Obviously, last week he tapped out and then still managed to squeal the win away. But what's interesting about this is Gunther was like, "Look, you can challenge me for a match, but I want something in return." Obviously, there's no championship, there's no title. So Styles was like, okay, whatever it is. And Gunther was like, your career. So later on the night, we would get it confirmed that at Royal Rumble, it's going to be AJ Styles and Gunther for AJ's career on the line. Now, look, we obviously know this is AJ's final run, so there's no way he's losing this one this early, because they're not going to do that. But it's coming. And this is kind of the first real indication that a lot of this year is going to be AJ's career on the line. Now, I will say we might Gunther still might do it, but I don't think it'll be at the Royal Rumble. It's way, way, way too early. The next match was actually very, very good. The man Becky Lynch, who cut a really funny promo. So there was this thing. I don't know what it was like internationally, but if you're watching it on Netflix, the little 3 minute thing would pop up, and that would be the ads that we'd get. So obviously you get these ads, um, that would, for international markets, they'd play whatever. And usually you get this screen that's just like, a lot of people were complaining about it with Saturday Night's Main Event or whatever, but you'd get this screen that just be like random WWE stars doing whatever. But this was fun because it was the live feed from the arena. They didn't cut the feed. And Becky was cutting a promo saying, "It's great to be back here because I remember why I left." And then they're like, "Oh," and she's like, "Oh, Dublin's so much better, blah, blah, blah." So it was house show nonsense, which was fun. And I was just kind of like, "Oh, yeah, why are they doing that on the TV show?" And then I realized, oh, it's just a feed. It's not actually going on television. So throughout the whole night, if you were watching the UK Irish version of it, and again, I could be wrong, let me know if this was the same across the board, there would be like 3 minutes up on the top of the screen that would kind of go through every time they'd have to cook to commercial, and they do their cheap heat house show nonsense stuff. So that was kind of fun to see, because you don't necessarily get to see it all the time. But yeah, when they actually did get into the match, Becky was defending against Maxine Dupree with Natalya. The story was Natalya was training Dupree to get her more vicious, get her better to be ready to dethrone Becky Lynch. And it looked like she was about to do it. That is until Natalya turned on her and caused Dupree to fall with a manhandle slam for the win. Then Natalya would go in, absolutely kill Dupree, and set up that there's going to be one of those feuds going into the rest of the year. And it's funny because I was actually watching it with my mom. My mom doesn't really watch wrestling that much, but she just happened to be there when I was watching it, and she was like, "You have to watch her because she's going to turn on her," and she called it, because I can't. If you're a US listener, you don't appreciate really that in Ireland we don't get to see wrestling at a normal time. So normal family members who would be around or would be visiting or whatever wouldn't really watch wrestling with you. You normally watch wrestling by yourself. So it was fun to have my family around to be able to watch wrestling like this. I know it's a silly thing, but you don't really get to appreciate it in the same way. Yeah, again, a bunch of different arena stuff that was going on. A really, really cool moment for me again. I'm not a huge fan of Jey Uso, but I did love when he did his whole yeet thing, and he was in the SSE Arena concourse, which, look, again, I know that arena super well, so to see it really showcased was fun. He was announcing that he is in the Royal Rumble, and he's calling a shot as well. Then we had kind of a waste. It wasn't a good match. It wasn't a bad match, but it was just kind of like there to set up the rest. Penta was cool. The ending was fun. It was, of course, the 6-man tag team match. Division versus Dragon Lee, Penta, and Rey Mysterio. Adam Pearce came out as well. They didn't announce him. They didn't really do anything. He just was there. And he was, obviously there to try and keep some sort of order, so Division weren't able to pull shenanigans. And there were shenanigans. The finish of this came where they tried to use the brass knucks. Adam Pearce was like, we're not doing this. Bit of tension between him and Paul Heyman, and this would set up Mysterio basically just hitting, using the knucks to hit Theory, and then Penta hit him with a Mexican Destroyer for the win. Mexican Destroyer looked great. I'm kind of in two minds about that move being used every week, but Penta does it so well. It was super fun. And then we'd have the women's tag team champions, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, come out to talk. Hey, look, we're defending the belts at Saturday Night's Main Event. And then we went to a match, which again, I don't really know if this was meant to happen or if it's real or not. So we'll update you with Javon Evans. What happened here at the end of this, as we know. It was just a standard match with El Grande Americano versus Javon Evans. Javon Evans was super impressive. That entrance is super fun. Crowd seemed really into it, but the match was stopped by the referee because it looks like his wrist or forearm was in pain. He landed funny on it after a suicide dive, so we'll see what happens with that. But they didn't really tell a story. They didn't go into an angle. It's more just like, yeah, he's hurt. So we have no further update on that, but we will let you guys know on the show proper when we're talking about this next week. Some more backstage segments, locker room segments. Obviously, there was the big one with Asuka and Kairi Sane freaking out because they lost the belts, and then she lost last week. But the only downside on the show I can say that was kind of weird is it went from that directly into Punk's TV static. They didn't do like a big announcement. I wish WWE would go back to doing that, where they go back to commentary and they're like, "Hey, look, this is our main event," blah blah blah. But they didn't do that. It does kind of give the crowd that pop, because as soon as they heard it, they're like, "Oh, here we go," and then they cut the commercial and then come back. But look, overall, folks, I thought the match was pretty good. The show was pretty good. It was not super long, but it wasn't wasteful. There was stuff they could have cut, but I'm glad they didn't. The SSE looked like $1,000,000. I really hope WWE do more shows from the SSE in Belfast. The crowd are great. They were super hot all night. They were there. They were there for it. There were some really cool. As a Giants fan, there was so much cool little things from their social media throughout the whole day. So that was awesome. And yeah, look, if you haven't seen this edition of Raw, I think you'll really enjoy it. Go back, watch the main event. It's totally worth your time, and it's a nice tight watch. It's not there's nothing there that's wasteful. You know, it's a tight watch, a fun watch, and you get to kind of see a nice intimate Raw without it being too small. I love the arena setup. Having the Titantron in the back coming out of the stairs was a nice touch too. So fair play to WWE. They really, really impressed me tonight. I think it's been a very, very strong show. And again, thank you so much for listening in. If you like what we do here, please check out the rest of the content. We produce 2 shows really here every week. Nerd to No Basis, which is our nerd magazine show, and of course the Wrestling Rewind, which comes out every Tuesday. So last week's show will be dropping tomorrow, and then of course we do random content like this when time is appropriate. But thank you so much for listening in. We'll see you in the next one. If this is your first time, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment below. Were you happy? Were you not happy? I want to know. See you in the next one. The only